different. Yeah, I'm different. I'm different. I'm different. I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. Pull up to the scene with my cellar messing.
Welcome back to the Tomb, everyone. This is Tomb Talks with the Pharaoh. You already know who it is. For today's episode, it's called Gotta Let the Beat Drop, and I have a very important guest with me today, and I'll have him go ahead and introduce himself.
First off, thanks for having me, Ali. I really appreciate it. Honored to be on the show. I'm excited to talk today. And my name is RIVAS. For those of you who don't know me, I'm based out of Boston. I'm a DJ for Big Night Entertainment. And so they run venues like the Grand, Memoir at the Encore Casino, Shrine down in Foxwoods, Connecticut. I'm also a member of the Club Killers crew, which is a team of DJs based out of Vegas that curate musical edits and remixes for the clubs. So if you've been to a club or bar near you, most likely you've heard the DJ play a remix or edit from that website. And then lastly, I'm managed by New Wave Management. And that's a team that manages myself, Angela Kidd, Costa, and DJ Soto. So happy to be here, brother. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. I did not know that you were involved in all of that. I thought I did not know that. Okay, you stay busy. You busy.
I stay busy, brother. You know, like if you're busy, if you're working, you know, you're grinding, you're just getting better and improving. There's always something to learn. Like one of my mottos in life is be curious. I heard this great quote one day, right? The tomato that thinks it's fully grown only falls to rot, right? So you just got to keep growing on that vine, keep growing. You're never going to fall down a rot. So, but yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you.
That's great. I wanted to have you on because I've been to one of your shows and you obviously kill it. And I met you through your brother when he told me that it's like, oh, my brother's a DJ. It's like, that's something that always just kind of interests me about it because it's a different side of the music industry. So I wanted to have you on and just get your perspective and your experience about a couple of things. I wanted to ask you is that how did you get into DJing and how did you know you wanted to pursue that?
Yeah, so I've always been a huge fan of music, right? You know, and I think most people listen to what their parents listen to. And for me, that was my dad listening to a lot of I'm Guatemalan. So it was a lot of Guatemalan music in the car, right? A lot of Spanish, a lot of Mexican music, bachata, merengue, cumbia, duranguense, all the Spanish, influence that I had as a kid was straight from my parents. So I loved music as a kid, right? And we would always, my dad would throw parties. He was a DJ. He still is a DJ, right? So he'd rock the quinceañera parties. It was a great time being a kid and just hauling these CDs with my dad and, watching him throw a party and just watching people have a good time, right? You had a long week, you get to wind down for a birthday party or a wedding. And my dad's playing the music. He's kind of the center of attention. People are coming up to him saying, "What's up?" He knows everyone, right? He's the life of the party. And I was just super impressed by what I saw. And I would just help him every weekend, right? Hauling speakers, setting up lights. And then one day I'm like, "Hey, Dad, why don't you just play this song next?" Because I noticed that this song was very popular. I forget the name of the song, but he played it and crowd goes wild, right? And that instant reaction, that immediate feedback that I got from the crowd, it was like a jolt of electricity, brother. I'll never forget it. I was like, man, so I just made this decision and now the crowd's vibing to it. And they're it changed me completely. From that moment on, I knew what I wanted to be. And that was a DJ, right? So
yeah, it's euphoric when you're able to do that, where you kind of have your finger on the pulse of the crowd and how to keep that energy up.
Yeah, there's no better feeling unless you're an artist and people are singing the lyrics, the song that you created. I can't imagine, or you created a canvas and people are coming to your museum or whatever and seeing your work of art and they get some sort of a feeling or an emotion. I think that's for me, the biggest thing about it is I'm curating a dance floor full of emotion, and I'm, you know, creating the vibe and making sure people have a good time, right? Because life isn't easy. So, well, you know, let's have a good time. But yeah, man. So I knew I wanted to be a DJ. So I would, like, any chance I got, you know, with my friends, I'd be like, hey guys, like, you know, my dad's got all this DJ equipment. Let's throw a party. So I remember my friends when we were younger, we threw, like, you know, just a small birthday party at this venue we rented out. And I was playing on my, like, iPod. I wasn't a real DJ per se, right? I had an iPod and I had a mixer, and I had two iPods. So I'd play one song on one iPod.
Oh, then slide it over and mix it to the.
Yeah, and then slide it in. Yeah. Like most DJs, right? Start off with turntables and a mixer, and they're scratching and this and that. And like, that's always what I wanted. I just, you know, could never afford something like that. But like, I was like, one day. So I worked hard every day to save up some money to get my first, like, controller, right? Just like this toy controller that I would DJ, like, school parties. Like I DJ'd my school, middle school dance, my high school prom, I DJ'd, right? And
That's
so
dope.
yeah, it was crazy, man. It was, when I think back on it, I'm like, wow, like, I didn't go to my prom with a date. You know, I got paid to go to my prom,
Yeah.
which is wild. But yeah,
I
man,
mean,
that's how it all
the
started.
after party after that must have been crazy for you,
Yeah.
because people must have been just like all about it.
Yeah, you know, the thing about high school for me was, like, I was never, like, in with, like, I felt like I was never in with, like, that crowd that went to all those after parties.
Mhm.
And that's probably part of the reason I was a DJ, because I probably wouldn't have been able to get a date at the time, you know, for the prom. But yeah, man. So, like, for me, it was always about the music, though. Like, it was
Yeah.
always about the music, and I've always had that passion since I was little. And I'll tell you one thing, right? The music industry is not easy, right? Like, you have to have thick skin in this industry. You're gonna get told, you know, time and time again that, like, oh, you're not a great DJ or this and that, or, you know, why, like, just you get into so many barriers, right? But the thing about it is, if you're in it for the music, that's when you can achieve longevity in this game, right? That's when, you know, you're in it for the right reasons. And that's how I've been able to, you know, be in the DJ game for as long as I have. So
Yes, and it's it's about having, like, knowing what the spark is that got you there. And
exactly.
it's like you said, is that first time that you play that music and you saw the reaction of the crowd, is like, I don't know what's going on. But that's the thing that, like, kind of propels you forward. Like, I guess that's the well you keep going to draw from. That's never gonna run dry, because that's something that's just, like, organic to you.
Right. Right.
But it was interesting you said that you were using two iPods and then going back and forth, because I don't know if you know this, I had a little bit of experience DJing in college. Freshman year, I would be the person, like, having, like,
Yeah.
dance parties in my room, and I was just doing it off of YouTube. So I have, like, 6 different tabs open, have one song
Yeah.
played, know when that's about to end, turn
And
down
then
that, will turn up the other one. Yeah.
yo, I love it, man. You know, you made it work, right? And you were curating the party, right? Like, in any way you had to keep that music going, right? Keep that music pumping. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I did get a couple of noise violations, so ended up having to leave the doors.
Yeah.
It was too good. It was too good. So you said that
I
you're.
remember I came to a part. Sorry to cut you off. I remember I came to a college party. It was Halloween, I think, and I came with Yesenia, who's not my wife, girlfriend at the time, and we showed up, and it was like a line outside the door, and it was just this sweaty, like, cramped basement party
Yeah.
with loads of alcohol and bad decisions, right? Like, you know, I miss those UMass days. You just brought me back there for a second. Sorry, I had to.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's fine. Those, like, it's those days, and then the type of parties I really do miss. It is the high school dance hall parties. I don't know if you were in the scene where, like, dance hall was, like, really big, but where I grew up and where I was going to school is that we would have these, again, sweaty basement, but it was just like dance hall, and that's the shit that I miss. Nowadays, people are too cool to dance.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot in the club, right? That people are there just to, hey, look at me. I'm in the club, on social media. I'm with this artist. I'm with this person. I'm at this table, right? It's less about you're there to have a good time and dance. A lot of the people there now are just there to show off in a way. But
Yeah, it's more so you're out to just say that you're outside. It's just
right,
like
exactly. Like we outside, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the old saying. It's just like you're alive, but are you living? It's like, so you're outside, but are you actually having fun? Are you just like, hey, I'm, like you said, I'm at this table, I bought this bottle, and then as soon as you lock your phone, then you're just sitting there. It's like,
yeah, right.
That's why I don't take pictures when I go out. It's like, I'd rather not sit there and try to curate a picture. I'd rather curate a memory.
My friend was telling me, shout out Tony Clark. He's also a DJ, great DJ, and he's also a professor at Berkeley. Last night at dinner, he was telling me there's a club in Berlin where no pictures are allowed, no photography. So no one's seen the inside of this nightclub. And like, imagine how wild or fun the vibe must be in that place where literally, I don't know how they do it. Maybe they lock your phone up and give it to you at the end of the night, right? You know how like to do that for comedy shows these days.
Yeah.
But imagine going to a nightclub and nobody has a phone. And you're just there listening to the music, and that's it. And you don't care like what you look like. No one's taking pictures, right? You're just there to have a good time. Like bring me back to those days almost, right? I'd love to experience that.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm thinking it was like, could something like that happen in the US? But I don't know. I feel like people are so attached to their phones. It's like,
yeah.
It's hard to get people to give up their phones for a comedy show.
I know. If it could be done right. So the right team would have to do it. The biggest names would have to get behind it. It'd have to be like, because it's hard these days. How do you sell that without pictures? It's just word of mouth.
Yeah. You literally have to sell. You have to sell a vibe, but you can't even do that with like. Yeah, that's hard. But hopefully, if there's an investor listening,
right,
let's do it.
Get on that.
Let's talk.
Get on it. You heard it here first with the Pharaoh.
Something that popped into my head is, what are your thoughts about the because there's been a rise in the, what is it, silent discos? I think that's the name of it.
Yeah, silent.
How do you feel about those? Because I've been to one before. Well, I've been in the vicinity of one. I didn't get the headphones, and I'm just looking around. It's like, it's quiet, and all you hear is just sneakers, just like, it's like, this is, I don't know how I feel about this.
The best is when you take off one headphone and you just listen, and it's like you hear this awful, like, pitchy singing, and and you just put your headphones back on. It's like, all right, let me just go back to the music.
Let me just keep these on.
Let me keep these on for a second. We had one of those. So I got married in St. Thomas, and we on the way there we were on a cruise ship, and we went to a silent disco, and I remember like it was a ton of fun, like a bunch of kids. It was like a 18 and up club on the cruise ship, and a bunch of kids were just singing their hearts out, man. And it was a vibe. It was almost like the gimmick made people act crazier when like songs, like people would just belt out songs, and I felt like it was just amazing to see. Because you never hear like people singing in the club unless everyone's singing, and then you can, like, as a DJ, it's like the most amazing feeling. You drop a track and people are singing it, and you lower the volume, right, intentionally. We do that intentionally. But yeah, like I do like them. I don't think they're for everyone, but in places where there's like noise ordinances, I think it's cool. We did one.
But also, you're on a cruise ship. Why would you need that on a cruise? You're in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, I mean, it was just a theme party, but and the cool part was you can switch between DJs, and you can see what the DJs can see. Okay, if you're on red, you're with the red DJ. If you're on blue, you're with the blue DJ. And there's two DJs, and they're kind of battling it out for like your ears, right?
Yeah.
that to me, you can't do that like in a regular setting. You can only do that with the
A
silent
silent
disco.
disco. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I never like I knew that they had different DJs at different stations, like, but I never thought about like the concept of like the battle of the DJs. Because
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
you're right. You can't do that in a normal setting. It'll just be
Yeah.
like just chaos, just noise
Yeah.
at that point.
I would love to throw a party where it's like my best DJ friends, and we all just battle it out to see who's gonna get the most ears, right? And we just like, you can see the colors on the dance floor, right? So you can see like, oh, like I'm crushing it right now. People are all tuned in my channel, or like there's no one on your channel. Then it's like, you're not doing a good job.
Yeah, that's at that point. That's where you can see your feedback, and it's just like, oh, it's like let me turn this up. Let me try something a little bit different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's just playing banger after banger at that point.
And
So
so I guess the reason that I have some reservation about like a silent disco is because for me, I go to the club to feel the music. And I feel like if you don't have like those big speakers with the bass that like actually just like rattles your bones, it's like
Knox. Yeah,
that's what I go for. I go for the bass. I want to hear it kick. It's hard to have that same sensation if it's just headphones.
that's a great, that's a great comment. And I think there's a way to go to fix that if you're listening silent disco owners. There's this thing called the sub pack, where as a producer, you can wear like a backpack, and anytime, there's low end, it'll vibrate your body, right? Just like you said. So you'll get that feeling, right? They're expensive. I think they're sold out everywhere because producers, right? Like New York City apartments, they're listening on headphones. They can't really feel the bass, like you said.
Mhm.
And so a lot of producers buy this to be able to hear the music and the low end so they can feel what it's going to feel like in the club or in the car, whatever, right? That'd be a great solution.
That's
But
dope.
yeah,
I didn't even know that.
agree. Yeah, it's a cool product. I want to buy one for myself, so I don't drive my wife crazy with loud music. But yeah, so silent disco owners, maybe you combine those, headphones with a sub pack, and boom, right? It's like the next big thing. And also, just a quick comment on you going to the club because you want to feel it. So back to the proms, right? I did I think my senior ball, or it was another school's senior ball, and there was actually one of the students was hard of hearing.
Mhm.
And so like I learned through my friend who had gotten me the event that this girl apparently had the time of her life because she could feel the music. She could feel the bass, even though it was hard for her to hear, right? She could feel
The
the music,
vibrations.
the
Yeah.
vibrations. Because back then, my dad had like freaking, dude, these speakers were enormous. Like I'm talking like 5 feet, 6 feet tall speakers. And we had like four of them, like mobile DJs don't do that. Right. But like, I feel like my dad was just crazy. He just
Yeah.
loved
Yeah.
like,
It's like he's gonna
like
get that packed out.
yeah. He's a crazy guy, man. He still is a crazy guy. And so yeah, so that was another moment for me that like, wow, like this person, who normally wouldn't have had such a fun time at this event, right? Prom, like for someone like that to actually be able to feel the music, that was just an incredible moment for me. So like just little things like that, right? That have kind of like cemented why the hell I even do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's incredible because if they just got like some other like run of the mill DJ where they have like
Yeah.
the small like 3 feet
Yeah.
like speakers on the stand, it's just like
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been the
Been the
type of
same.
experience that would
Yeah.
have affected hers. Like
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great story. And when you brought up the backpack,
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you is that because I've never even heard of that type of technology before, how has
Yeah.
like the advancement of technology like influenced DJing?
Oh man, dude, it's crazy. Like I feel like every month there's a new innovation. And it's scary because, technology is evolving at a pace that's, I think, going to surprise a lot of people in a few years. You're going to look back and be like, wow, there's cars that drive themselves like on the streets. When did that happen? It's going to happen sooner than you think. But like with DJing, the biggest evolution right now is AI. So artificial intelligence, for those of you who don't know, and it's revolutionizing not only the tech industry, but also the music industry. There's a video on TikTok where David Guetta premieres a track with Eminem, quote Eminem, and guess what? Eminem never contributed to that track. David Guetta basically just used an AI to simulate his voice with whatever he wanted him to say and made it happen. And that's just the beginning. We haven't even tapped into the potential of what could be possible with AI and music. One of the tools I use today is called stem separation. So for those of you who don't know, in music, there's elements, right, of the song. There's the vocals, the acapella, there's the drums, there's percussion, hi-hats, tambourines, the claps, the snares, claps, all that stuff, right? And then there's the melody, which is like piano, synthesizer, things like that, the leads. Through the use of technology, right, before you used to actually get, have to have someone send you the stems, which would have come from like the label, and no label is going to send you the stems of like any popular song these days. With AI, you can today run that any song you want through this stem separation algorithm, and it'll spit out all of those elements so that you can use it in a remix and an edit. So if I want an acapella that sounds clean and crisp of Drake's new single with 21, I can do that immediately in 5 minutes. I'll have the drums, the bass, the percussive elements, all that. It's incredible, man. Before, that wasn't possible. Go ahead.
And with that, I was going to ask is that with the track that you said with Eminem, he did not contribute to it, but like the AI was able to grab it. Is that it's like, does that then go into like, I feel like there are legal ramifications of that as well. Is like, because if I make something that a artist never like agreed to do, and then I end up generating revenue from that, it's like, do they legally have like, because most AIs, they pull from the public domain. So it's hard.
I'll tell you this, man. I would not want to be a copyright lawyer in the next few years, because there's going to be some cases that head to the Supreme Court with exactly the situation you mentioned, right? Will an AI generated image or song that uses source material from this specific artist need permission to do so? I think the businesses like Sony, Universal will vouch for yes. You can't just take Drake's voice or Taylor Swift's voice, run it through an AI and create a new pop song, unless you get their buy off. And I think there's going to be millions of dollars to back those people up. But just just like what happened when the internet was born and LimeWire came out, and these companies wanted you to keep
shout out my nigga LimeWire.
People will find a way. So even if the labels say don't do it, people are gonna do it. And there's gonna be music out there that Drake didn't even sing, or Kanye didn't sing, or people who were past, Biggie, MJ, like Resurrected, Pop Smoke, like there's going to be a Pop Smoke, I think, post homicide, like all this stuff is going to come out. And I think eventually the labels and all these guys are going to have to come and say like, okay, yeah, we'll you guys can do this. Just, we have to take a portion of the revenue. Right. Yeah. I think that's my prediction. I have no idea. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I think I think it's gonna be analogous to when someone samples a song, because if you're taking something that's already generated, and then you're just adding it in, like changing the pitch or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's the problem is that where you're running into it is that it's a program that did it and not a conscious person that said, I'm going to take their shit and then make like a new song from it. I think that's where we're running into. It's like with the AI, you can't be like, oh, this was malicious intent behind it, because it's just an algorithm doing what like it's designed to do. So I think that's where it's gonna, like, the legal part of it is gonna run into it. Is like, because I feel like with copyright infringement, it is well, I know like with fair use, you have to add like commentary and like you need to change it from its original state. It's like with copyright, I think, don't you also have to, well, this is probably more so a question for a copyright lawyer, but I feel like you also have to show like intent behind it as well. And it's hard to show intent of a program.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna, everything you just mentioned, right? Like this is all gonna have to be contemplated by a team of lawyers, right? Like, yeah, I'm excited for it though. You know, I think we're at the age of when the internet was, you know, just being born, and now it's AI. To me, AI is bigger than the internet. So we'll see.
So let me ask you a
happens.
question. Is that with, because I know they came out with the AI like rapper, and they had to take that off because homie was spitting out some wild bars.
What was he rapping about, man?
What's up?
What was he saying? Was he just like controversial stuff?
I think people were trying to say like, oh, like the rapper was like racist or something like that. But then when I looked at the lyrics, I was just like, this is no different than what, like, have you listened to any of Lil Wayne's mixtapes? Like he done said worse, but it was an AI, so people thought it was gonna be like a Will Smith clean type of rapper. It's just like, that's when you're pulling from the internet, that like Will Smith type of rapping is the minority. So you're gonna, for sure, you're gonna get the Pop Smokes and all that put into it. But do you think that like eventually, since they did that with the rapper, that they're gonna try that with like a DJ, like an artificial, like an AI DJ?
Absolutely. And Spotify just launched. It's not really a DJ, like, you know, it's or blending tracks. It's really just, hey, I'm going to curate your musical selection based on what you like or what you enjoy. So, but I do think that one day, yes, you'll go to a music festival, and instead of a human DJing for you, it will be an AI. And I've given this some thought, and like, you know, one of my friends, shout out Ayo Romero, he's also a DJ in Boston, from Big Night Entertainment Group. He's like, AIs could never replace us because they can't get on the mic and yell like, you know, insane things, you know, to get the crowd hyped up. But I'm like, I mean, someone could program an AI to do whatever, right? I could tell the AI, you know, I want you to behave like Lil Jon, one of the greatest DJ MCs ever, or Fat Man Scoop, right? Mm-hmm. And I want you to DJ a party that is, you know, open format, and I'm gonna put cameras all around the room to give you that like algorithm so that you can understand, you know, what the vibe is and what people are vibing to or not. Like, if hands are going up in the air, then you get, you know, the AI recognizes that, oh, that's a good thing. If people are just at the bar, that's a bad thing, right? Like, there's all sorts of intelligent people out there that can program these things into the AI DJ and just make it the best DJ in the world. And then maybe one day there won't be any DJs in nightclubs. It'll just be AI. But the same thing could be said about any profession, right? Yeah. So I think as a human race, we just have to set up these kind of boundaries for AI so that all of us aren't replaced. I mean, there's the human element.
I feel like in the sense of like with art, with music, it's like it takes creativity. And I guess the question is like, how do you code for authentic creativity? Because yeah, an AI can pull from everything else that's out there, but I feel like only a human can create like something new that like that hasn't been like, it probably has elements of other things, but an AI wouldn't be able to replicate that. It's like, I feel like with how we are as human beings, it's like we're obviously going to draw from the things that came before us, but it's that human element that you were saying, is that we can look at it and connect it in a way in which like a coded algorithm will never be able to look at it and be like, oh yeah, this might actually work. So right. I feel like they can only replace the process, but not the what went into the process.
Exactly. And I think at the current state, that is where the limitations of AI will be. But there will come a point, right, where artificial intelligence becomes self-aware. And at that point, when it does become self-aware, whenever that point in the future is, then is it human? What does it mean to be human? I mean, we're getting deep here, but
I don't think. Okay, I'll say this: I don't think it's human, because with self-awareness, and then I'll say this, so that we can get back to DJ. There's a test that they perform on animals to see if they're self-aware. It's called the mirror test. So what they do is that they put like a red X on the forehead of the animal and then put them in front of a mirror. And if they react in a way in which like they try to like wipe it off, or they show signs of like, oh, I'm looking at myself, then that like they pass the test of being like self-aware. So I feel like an AI could have self-awareness, but not necessarily have the characteristics of what it means to be human. And I think for us, we need to define what being a human is, but most of the time we define it in a way of what it isn't. And it's hard to know what something is based off of negatives. Like if I was to explain to you what a cat is, if I say, well, it's not a car, that doesn't help you figure out what it is.
Yeah. Agreed. And, hopefully we don't get to that point, because, we might need Arnold to come save us.
Straight, and like throughout this conversation, the movie that kept just running in my mind is I Am Robot. It's like, it's going to be one of those, because I remember in the scene when he's interrogating Sonny, and he's saying it's like, oh, like, can a machine make like a beautiful piece of art? Can a machine like create like an orchestra, like a beautiful orchestra? And then Sonny just replies back like, can you? It's like,
oh shit, yeah, that's scary.
It's like, maybe I can't, but the human race can. And AI hasn't proven itself to have true like creativity.
Right.
So I think it will definitely be interesting of where AI goes. But like you said, you would hate to be a copyright lawyer within the next couple of years.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be tough, man. And there's probably a lot of DJs out there that are in denial about, maybe losing their job to an AI machine. But eventually we have to come to grips with that reality. It might not happen, 50 or 100 years, maybe 200 years, but I could definitely see a bar that chooses to install an AI DJ. It's a one-time fixed cost, and you don't have to pay a regular guy, right, to come in and do the work. Just similar to how in the future, they're not going to have truckers. They're going to have self-driving trucks that Elon Musk is creating today. Mm-hmm. And they're going to transit all of your Amazon purchased items straight to your, from warehouse to your house, and millions of jobs will be displaced, right? And that's the reality we're going to face unless we set up boundaries or laws and regulations to say, hey, businesses, you can't do this, whatever. But I don't know, man. Capitalism is tough, right? It's like it's just this giant, barrier, and it's tough to get around it. So we'll see.
Yes, and I'll say is that especially how technology is going nowadays is that before robots, we were the robots to these
Yeah,
corporations. Now, since they can actually have a robot that doesn't get tired, doesn't call out sick,
yeah,
doesn't have, you don't have to worry about human rights violation on a robot.
right. Unless they become self-aware, right?
That's true. And then at that point, you just unplug it. It's like, yeah. But it's these types of things where it is, I think it's going, the natural progression is that it's going to replace certain like jobs and things like that. I think is that as a society, we need to come to like what is going to be the remedies for the people in which like technology has replaced them, because it wasn't by any fault of their own that someone created something to do their job. It's like, so there needs to be like some safety nets in place for those people that it wasn't their fault that they got replaced by a robot. And
Right.
with that though, is that when you say like some DJs are in denial about it, I would ask is that would the effect of AI on DJing, would that now push more DJs to create their own singles? Because like that might be like the niche of like AI still can't do this yet.
Yeah.
They might be able to do mashups, but they can't create like their own single.
100% agree. And I think that comes back to, I mean, even in today's marketplace, it's easier and easier to be a DJ, right? You can buy a controller for like $100, watch a bunch of YouTube tutorials, and become pretty proficient at it within a couple months. And so I always come back to like, what are you doing as a DJ that sets yourself apart from the millions of other DJs, right? And it comes back to you have to create, right? Whether it's mashups, edits, remixes, bootlegs, anything, and show that side of you to the world, right? Because no one can recreate something that, I mean, people can try to recreate it, but it's unique to you, right? It's unique to you. It's like, the old expression of you give a chef the same, two chefs the same ingredients, they're going to cook something completely different,
Mhm.
right? And so that to me is what DJs need to start doing today to set themselves up for the future of where, maybe the DJing does, it isn't so secure in the future, but if I become an artist, like I'm good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with that is that how would you describe your DJing style? Like what is the thing that sets do you go by DJ Rivas or just Rivas?
Rivas, yep, just
Just
Rivas,
Rivas?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, I think I would say ever since 2020, I've reinvented myself, right? I used to just be a DJ, right? I used to be DJ Rivas. And then one of my like kind of idols was DJ Beatbreaker. He's traveling all over the States, even internationally, booked in Asia. And I was like, man, like, how did this guy who's a DJ just like myself get those opportunities, right? What is he doing that I'm not? And well, he's making edits that other DJs play in the clubs and crushing it, right? Like that's what he's known for. He's known for making incredible remixes and edits that work, right? That simply just take your set from, a mediocre set that anybody could replicate to something. If you have his edits, you're just like a cut above the rest, right?
Mhm.
And so then it clicked for me. I was like, all right, this is what I need to start doing. I need to start making mashups, making edits. It's hard. I don't know how to do it. I need to sit in the computer for hours to just make my first one. But once you achieve that, right, the rest comes easy. And so for me, I would say I'm known as like a curator of taste, right? Kind of like if I hear this instrumental that's unreleased or that's, you know, brand new, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It would sound amazing over this acapella. So now I've joined, right, two different unique genres or sounds. Maybe it's like rock with like a EDM instrumental, but I know it'll work in the club, right? And so that's my specialty. It's just being able to hear what I think would work, blending it, and then giving it to DJs to download, right? And I've been successful at it. So I would say I'm specialized in just understanding what works in the club, and producing it for DJs in a way that they can play it in the clubs. It sounds good, right? So that's what I'm known for.
Okay. And when you said that when you first started with doing like edits, like it was like hours of just sitting down in front of, it's like, so what is the process that you follow when you make either a mashup or a single? Because you have a single, you have multiple singles, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Also wanted to let people know that the intro music that you listened to for this episode, it was created by RIVAS himself. So go ahead and give it a listen. Where can they find the song for the intro?
SoundCloud. So if you go to soundcloud.com/DJ RIVAS, RIVAS, you'll be able to listen to it there.
And I'll put it in the description on Spotify and all the other ones for YouTube. I'll put the link right in it. So go ahead, give it a thumbs up. I don't know how SoundCloud still works, but thumbs up, listen, views, everything like that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Definitely, for sure. But yeah, you asked about my creative process.
Yes.
And like how I go about doing that. So for me, it's definitely a lot of time before, I guess, the AI was trying to find acapellas, and like studio quality acapellas are so hard to come by these days. But now with like stem separation, like I can have that in my fingertips in like 5 minutes, right? Of any song. And it'll sound great. It'll sound amazing, right? With, you know, a few minutes of vocal processing. But my process is basically load up acapellas into a folder and then have an instrumental folder and then go through, you know, okay, this instrumental sounds amazing, right? All right, let me start with that. And then taking a bunch of acapellas that are in that same key and using my DJ program, aligning the beats per minute to the same tempo and hearing how it sounds. And I'll know within like 5 seconds, like, oh, this is garbage, or, you know, this isn't going to work. But like, yeah, that's how I go about doing it. And it's worked for me. The biggest thing is just being in key. If it's not in key, it just doesn't sound good.
Okay. And when you said about like with the beats per minute, it's like, I was watching something where they were saying, where the person was saying it was like with DJing, like there is a certain amount of like math that goes into it, because like you might have it be 4 beats per minute. It's like, but then it's like the different element that you're using might be 16, but because of the way that it synchronizes, it's like it's about like where everything hits. It's like, so is that kind of like a thing that you've noticed with all the different mashups that you've been doing?
Exactly. So yeah, so basically, right, if you've got a song that's like 60 beats per minute, you can mix that with a song that's 120 beats per minute. It's called double time, and it'll sound like the same. It won't sound sped up or slowed down. And you can do that while mixing too. So it's a great technique. Like if you're like playing high energy music, like dun, 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 and then you come in with like a trap song, right? And you can transition, and it'll sound like the beats will sound in time and in like flawless, like you're mixing flawlessly. It's a great effect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say I might dabble back in DJing, but no, I think
you might have to.
I'll stick to podcasting. I don't think AI is going to replace podcasts yet.
No, I don't think that one's gonna be a while, man.
Yeah, that's when you really do have some I am robots, like just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
talking to people. But I wanted to ask you is that in terms of your Latin heritage, is like has that played into like how you've been a DJ? Has it influenced like certain mashups that you've done? Have you done have you taken like big like Latin songs and then like have you done a remix to Suavemente? Have you?
I have to, man. I have to. That's like the song my dad would always play at every quinceanera. Yeah, but I did my first remix was Dile by Don Omar,
Mhm.
and you could say that was definitely based off me attending all those parties with my dad when I was younger, and he would play those like reggaeton songs, which at the time weren't throwbacks, right? But then you listen to them today, and you're immediately hit with the nostalgia, right? It just music is I think this is the key for DJs, right? Who are listening and who are just getting into it. Music can trigger so many memories, right? Like think about when you were in middle school, what songs were you listening to that were on the radio that were in repeat, right? Whether on your iPod or whatever. Like if you're playing those songs in the nightclub, you're going to trigger so many memories for people, right? And that's what I try to do. So the kids who are 21 today, right? Think back like 10 years ago. So 2013, look up the top 10 songs in that year, play those songs in the club. And I guarantee you, if you're playing for a younger crowd, those songs are going to go off.
Yeah.
Right. And it's because you're bringing in those memories. But back to your earlier question of like, how has my Latin heritage influenced kind of what I do today? And I would say number one is just the diversity, right? And I think this goes without saying for any job or, any career profession, having cultural diversity, is so valuable. And I think the reason for it is because we don't want everyone to think the same, right? We don't want everyone to dress the same or be the same, because that would be boring very easily, right?
Yeah.
But what I grew up listening to is completely different from maybe who grew up in someone in like the Bronx, right? And that's perfectly okay, because now when you come to my shows, whether I know it or not, subconsciously, I'm making music selections based on my tastes, which I grew up listening to, Aventura with my dad, like classic bachata, or going to all these quinceañeras and listening to like some merengue, right? And to me, like that upbeat, danceable, like music has stuck with me. And that's why I love house music so much, right? Because at those parties, I'd be dancing too, right? Like I'd be dancing, having a good time. And like when the music's fast, right? Like, and the beat's just going, there's just something about that. It's just amazing, man. So
It just it gets the heart rate up, and it's just
yeah.
it gets just it gets you going. It gets the people going.
Gets the people going. Yeah. It's provocative.
No, question. Are there genres of music where you found it like hard to make like a mashup for, just because of like the way that the beat is, or just the tempo, the pitch? Like have you found kind of like a barrier with some music that you want to do a remix for, but it's hard?
Yeah, especially when I first started, I think the biggest barrier was like hip hop music that's not like so for example, I make a lot of mashups that are 128 beats per minute, right? So that's halftime is 64. So 64 beats per minute. Think about hip hop songs like No Hands by Waka Flocka, right? That song is 64, 65 beats per minute, right? So it's like a little slower, right? But that song, you can flip it again and make it be 128 and it'll go perfectly. But let's say you get to that like 85 beats per minute zone. So that I'm talking like Cardi B's Up. I'm talking like Started from the Bottom by Drake. like songs in that tempo range are difficult to put into that like 128, 120, because you'd either have to slow them down, which if you listen to the song, constantly, it's going to sound weird, or you have to speed it up dramatically. So it really depends on like my decision as a mashup artist, what I'm going to do in that situation. Right. But a lot of the time, if you listen to a mashup and the vocal sounds too fast or too slow, it's because the original tempo is in this awkward like zone.
Yeah.
Where
Okay.
we have to do that. We have to do that as to make it like at least in tempo with the song we're trying to,
Trying to
but
blend it.
yeah. So that'll happen with hip hop or even pop music, right? Like anything in that 80 to 90 BPM is tough to mash up. It's not really any genre. Like these days, honestly, I'm telling you, with stem separation, it's a game changer. Like a lot of the hip hop songs didn't have clean studio acapellas. Like I'm a huge Drake fan, and he's got like maybe 4 or 5 like famous studio acapellas, but everything else I had to make my own. Like they call it DIY acapellas. So I guess that was tough in the beginning, but it's crazy now.
How do you do that? A DIY
Yes.
acapella.
Great question. So there's various methods. One of the methods before stem separation was you take if you have a studio instrumental and you invert it. So now those sine waves on the inverted instrumental are going to cancel out the sine waves on the original instrumental. So what's left after they've canceled each other out? Just the vocals. But again, like a lot of labels caught on to the fact that people were doing this. So they would have slight variations in the instrumentals that they would release, right? They'd maybe pitch it up a few cents, right? Or down, so that you couldn't really do this, or they'd like, change the arrangement or whatever, like make it super hard for people to do this. So that's how you would create a DIY, and then you could use an equalizer, right? So like maybe when you do it, there's like a lot of low end that you don't need. But that was one way to achieve that. And now it's a click of a button. So
yeah, now it's with what you said with the AI, it's just let me take that out.
Yeah. And before, I guess, the AI, there were programs that would do it. And they would kind of utilize the same methodology that the AI does now, but it didn't sound as clean, right? You could still hear a lot of the percussive elements, not just the vocals that you wanted to extract. But with some of the new software that's coming out, man, like Serato now has stem separation. Serato, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is like the software DJs use on their laptops. They have the ability for the DJ to do it live. So,
shit. Okay.
Yeah. So say you're DJing and I want Whitney Houston vocals for I Want to Dance with Somebody over Rihanna's We Found Love, and I don't have the acapella, but I wanted to do the mashup live. Okay, load up Whitney Houston on my left deck, load up Rihanna on my right deck, hit the acapella stem button on my left deck, hit the instrumental on my right deck, and I immediately have a mashup.
That's dope.
So they have that. I'm telling you, like the advancements that have happened in the past year are wild. Like to be a DJ today is, much easier. To be a mashup artist today is much easier than it was, even 2 years ago for me. I had to scour the internet. But yeah.
So you had to put in the work.
You had to put in the work, man.
now these new kids, they don't know how easy they have.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's the famous,
back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day, right?
Which was I last year.
Yeah, literally. I embrace. You got to embrace the new technology, right? Because if you don't adapt with the times, you get left behind.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you is that because throughout the conversation you've brought up like multiple DJs, is that what DJs did you look to for inspiration as you were getting into it, and are there some that you still try to like emulate, or would you say right now like you've hit your stride and you've found like your own I guess voice, or I guess DJing your own decks? Have you found your own decks?
Yeah, I love that. So I think, I have a ton of DJ inspirations and mentors, right? Like number one, obviously my dad, right? He was the reason I'm doing this even today, right? Like he inspired me to become a DJ. Number two, I would say, and this is kind of a group of DJs, but Beatbreaker, DeVille, all the guys that were making edits, DJ Skills, DJ Scooter, right? Like, all these guys are famous for curating the most incredible edits you've ever heard, right? So if you go to a nightclub, like I said, 9 times out of 10, the DJs who are playing, they're playing these guys' edits because they're that good. And then number three, I would say would be like the producer artist DJs like DJ Snake, DJ Diplo, Marshmello, Skrillex, like
DJ Khaled.
Cal is dope though. Cal is dope. I love his personality. Alesso, Hardwell, like Armin van Buuren, like all these guys are super talented in production, and that's what inspired me from that aspect of it. And then there's just the guys who are local who are freaking killing it in Boston, right? Like guys that I wish I could see more, but because I'm freaking DJ and I can't even go out, right? Because I'm the DJ.
Yeah.
These are guys that have mentored me from the beginning or mentor me today, right? So like DJ Costa, huge mentor of mine. He's given me all these opportunities in Boston, and I'm forever grateful for that. When I started in Boston, it was, DJ Case. He was on Amp Radio, right? DJ RM was a huge proponent of my career. All these guys, right? DJ Cream from New York City. He's also been super helpful in, my entire career. So again, these guys are always there if I have a question or need help. And I love what they do. So shout out them.
That's great. And it's always good to have a variety of just places where you can draw from, because the way that you stitch those different places together, I feel like kind of helps like curate who you are. Because if someone's great at being them from like in that aspect, it's always taking like that part, and then putting it together, and then you add your own element to it, and then from there it's like that's where greatness comes from.
Exactly. Beautifully said, man. And like and that can be said for all aspects of your life, right? Whether it's work, job, school, anything. You know the people you like to work for, the people you look up to. So now it's like draw elements of inspiration from that into different areas of your life. And like you said, greatness will happen.
Without a doubt. And you said that the first person that helped you or inspired you to start DJing is your dad. I guess the question is that when you let your mom know that you wanted to get into it, it's like because she's married to a DJ, it's like, what was her reaction from like the other side of it?
Yeah. So I'm blessed, man. Like my parents are super supportive. I've never had resistance at all. And not only from, my parents, but my wife, shout out my wife, she's always been super supportive. And I think behind every supportive person, there's kind of like, there's a million more, but behind every person who you think is successful, right? I think there's a million people behind that person helping them to achieve that success. It's not like a one-man job, right? I'm not here on my own merit. I've gotten here because I've gotten the help and support from a team of people, right? And I think that's one piece of advice I'd have for people is like, you can't do this on your own. Find a network, find a group of friends that will help you and support you along the way. I think you'll be a lot more successful if you do that.
Yes, and it's an old saying. It's just that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
fucking love that, man. I'm sorry I swore, but I was
Oh
like,
no, you can swear on here. I swear all
yeah.
the fucking time in this place.
I didn't
This
know
show is
if,
not for kids. We can
yeah.
no, but I think that's great. Is that because um I know like sometimes people, especially when they try to get into the music industry, especially if they come from a family that um, has done it, is that there are times that there's family members that will let them know it's like, hey, this is what it's like being like married to a DJ. It's like just kind of giving someone like a heads up. But that's great that like that your mother was supportive and your father both were supportive about it. And it's like, so it's I guess that was one less barrier that you had to like go through, because you didn't have to convince your parents about your dream. They could
Yeah,
they could see it.
exactly. And one of the greatest moments of my DJ career was my parents got to come out and see me at Big Night Live. It was for Happy Days, a show for Costa, and I got to open for them. And they were there in the crowd, like amongst like millions of kids, but they were there just to support, man. And it was great, to show my parents, look how far I've come from the just hauling CDs from my dad to like DJing in front of hundreds of people, right? Like this is what you kind of curated. So yeah, that was a great moment, man. So like I said, my parents are super supportive, which now that it's crazy. Like I kind of take it for granted, because you're right. There are parents out there that if their kid's like, oh, I want to be a DJ, then it's like, oh no, go get a real career. Well, this is a real career, right? There's plenty of professionals in this industry, and it's it shouldn't be taken as like, oh, it's like a hobby, right? Because there is so many talented people that achieve great things and have done amazing things for their community. So and a lot of them are in the music industry, so I don't think it's like a hobby. I think it's it could be a professional career if you wanted it to be.
Yes, and it's when people say like certain things are a hobby, I think it comes from a place of ignorance, because people don't understand what goes into it. Like the fact that you were telling me about to do the DIY acapella, and
Yeah,
you're trying to find the sine wave and the coast, like
yeah,
that's trigonometry and calculus. That's
yeah,
math.
yeah, yeah.
It's like you have
That
to
is
invert
math.
it and make sure that the phase like lines up so that it cancels.
Yeah,
It's what is it called? It is called destructive interference. That is a
there you go.
term like from physics. So
Yeah,
tell someone it's like, oh well, that's a hobby. It's just like I'm literally doing physics right now. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
but it's because you don't know enough about what
Right,
I'm doing that you don't have respect for it. But
right. People devalue it. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
now when people are getting a degree in art history, I'm kidding. Uh, I'm kidding. Shout out to my art history
Yeah.
majors.
Shout out all our history majors. Yeah.
No, but I think that it's about creating something that contributes to like the greater society. And I think sometimes
Exactly.
people think that like a contribution is only something that's like physical. It's like,
Right.
did you make something? It's like, but a contribution can be, it's just like you said with the woman, with the girl that was hard of hearing, you
Yeah.
gave her something that no other DJ was able to give her.
Exactly.
It's like that's a contribution to the greater society, because now she can say it's like, oh, like these, like I can support these types of DJs because this is what I can actually get from it.
Right.
So let me ask you, what would be your dream set or performance?
I would love to DJ at Ibiza or Ultra Music Festival in Miami, which is actually coming up in a few weeks here. Like, I just want to DJ somewhere tropical, sun setting, and it's like golden hour. People are vibing to the music, having a good time. There's a pool, there's a little bit of drinks are flowing, the vibe is right. and people are just turning up, just trying to get turned up for that night. And I'm just playing like vibey music, right? And then the sun sets and boom, we turn up, right? Like we just make it a party, and that would be a dream for me. So I think I think I can make it happen. I just got to keep grinding and keep making music, keep making edits, making a name for myself, and doing the original music, I think, is key, right? Because that's the best way to make it. Now that I've done, mashups, I need to step my game up in the original production arena. So I'm taking classes. Shout out to Prairie Production Academy. Another great mentor, by the way, Mikey, from Prairie Production Academy. He's the reason I even know how to produce. So
okay,
he's changed my life. Yeah. So shout out him.
So let me ask you a question. Excuse me. Is there a possibility of ever trying to set up a show in Guatemala, going back and just
oh yeah,
just blowing the top off, just find some venue and just yo, we're gonna go hard on this.
Oh, that would be crazy. That's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. I'd love to do a show out in Guatemala. And Carnage, actually, I don't know if you know, Carnage is a huge DJ. He's Guatemalan as well. He did a show out there, and a lot of the money
Carnage,
he
he
made.
has the song I like to make money. Is that
that's
okay.
Yeah.
He's Guatemalan?
Yeah, he's Guatemalan.
Oh shit, I didn't know
that. Yeah. So yeah, the fact that he went back and DJ'd for his hometown, that'd be cool, man. I'd love to do that kind of full circle moment, right?
Yeah. I feel like that'd be awesome. And if you do, bring me with you.
Yeah, you're coming, brother. You're coming. You'll be there with me.
Now, I'm gonna tell you off rip, I might have gotten made it to Spanish 5. I do not speak Spanish at all. I just know where that's where the bathroom is.
Yeah, ¿dónde está el baño, right? Yeah. Yeah. All you gotta know is a few words, brother. It's just sí, yes, no, which is easy, and then tequila. That's all you gotta know, brother. ¿Dónde está la tequila?
Okay. What about beers? Beer.
Las Cheves. That's more Mexican. But yeah, you can say it. You can say it in Guatemala too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
I might need more beers than tequila.
Yeah.
But that's great, because I feel like that's honestly, I feel like that would be a great experience for you, to go back there and just and that also might help you prompt them doing the mashup of the throwbacks, so that when you come back and it's just hey, I know you know these ones, but let me show you what I can do with this.
Yeah, release Guatemala themed mashup pack, right? Where it's just a bunch, Suavemente would be in there, just bangers, just mix of bangers. That's a great idea. Love it. I love it. See, the creative juices are flowing while we're conversing.
There we go. That's what happens when you get creatives together.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't want to hold you too long. So I just wanted to ask you, is that for the DJs that are coming behind you, we talked about, that there's technology that's going crazy right now. It's just what would be some tips, some gems that you would want to impart on them, so that they can maybe avoid some of the pitfalls that you've had to go through?
Absolutely. I think number one is going to be become an editor, a mashup artist, a remixer, learn how to produce as early as you can, and work hard at it. Make it a habit to spend an hour or two every single day learning production, learning your craft, because there's no greater career accelerator than content. And okay, so maybe you don't like to produce or whatever, you're not into that, go on TikTok, show off people your DJ skills. I've seen tons of DJs whose career blown up because of TikTok. I'm talking, they're touring the world right now, right? And these are younger dudes who are hungry, and they started creating videos, All it takes is one video. All it takes is one song to blow you up and become viral. So don't sleep on TikTok. Don't sleep on Reels. Don't sleep on the production game. Continue to work at it. And number one, most important thing I want to tell to the young cats is don't quit. If you really love this and you really want to do this, don't let anyone ever tell you like you're not good enough. You know, if you think you're good enough, you are, right? You're there for a reason. A lot of people quit at the worst time. They quit when they were just about to achieve success. Success is always right around the corner. It's impossible to see, but it's always there. So as long as you keep hustling, as long as you keep grinding, you're gonna achieve success. For some folks, it takes, you know, a couple days, right? You make a viral mashup video, whatever, your ticket to fame. For others, it takes years. But the important thing is that you just keep at it, right? If you really love it. And I always tell people that. I'm like, just don't quit, man. Like, you got this. If you really like it, you're a nice person. Like, yeah, be a nice person too, right?
Yeah.
Be humble. That goes a long way, right? Don't, you know, force yourself upon people. Don't ask for things that, you know, you probably shouldn't be asking for. Just be nice. So those are my top tips. And I think you follow that, you're gonna have a successful career. So
thank you. And the only thing I would add to that is always remember your why. Remember why you started. Remember why you decided this is something that I love.
Love that. Yeah. The
and
why is
never
very
let
important.
them take your why away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to say thank you again for choosing to come on. It's been a great
Thanks
conversation.
for having me.
Where what's coming up for you? Where can people find you? Let's see. Oh, so this episode is going to be posted on the 14th. So
The 14th. Yeah.
so this so what's going on? Where can people find you? How do we support RIVAS?
I'm about to pull up the schedule. So on the 14th, so if you want to come support RIVAS, you can come see me March 18th. I'm opening at the Grand for Costa. So just hit me up. I'll add you to the guest list. That means free entry. You just come in and have a good time. You know, I'll introduce myself to you. And also I'm at Big Night Live, 2 to 4 p.m. I believe they're having like a St. Patrick's Day kind of like bar crawl. And then the next big show of mine is going to be April 22nd at the Grand. So if you want to come see a show, like I said, guest list, I'll buy you a drink if you come out. Come to that. And then April 28th at Memoir at the Young Casino, I'm headlining. So make sure you come out to that as well. But yeah, and you can support me on soundcloud.com/DJ RIVAS. Like my stuff, repost it, whatever. I don't care. Whatever. And hit me up on.
What about your social media?
Yeah. Instagram is DJ RIVAS _. And then Twitter is DJ RIVAS. Facebook is also DJ RIVAS. Yeah. So just hit me up anytime. Like my DMs are always open. If you want advice, whatever, I'm always here to help. So yeah.
That's great. Again, thank you. Thank you for coming.
No problem, brother. Yeah, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
And everyone, listen to the outro music because this is a banger by RIVAS. So that has been another episode of Tune Talks with the Pharaoh. I'll see y'all next week.
I'm different, yeah, I'm different. I'm different, I'm different, I'm different, yeah, I'm different. I'm different, yeah, I'm different. Pull up to the scene with my cellar missing.